Okay, it's recording now. And let's pick up. Oh yeah, you look a bit different without glasses.
Like a new person.
Sorry, are you talking to me? I was just getting my charger. Sorry.
Is this you, Alex?
Yes. I wear the glasses when I don't have to do anything in the day.
Didn't recognize. I'm just kidding.
I have a small face.
Yeah, she was also new to me. It's so even fringes, even glasses makes a lot to a new look. I had a fringes, and I could be a totally, fringes, a new person. So I understand that with the glasses, you're totally new. Or
and how was the day, Alex?
My day was quite slow. It's my friend's birthday, and she's having a surgery tomorrow, and she's a chef, and she can't eat for 24 hours, so she's really upset. So I stood outside her window and ate cake and waved at her, and then I thought, this is really mean.
Oh.
I didn't mean it to be, but I was like, oh, I don't like this at all.
Such a cool thing.
I thought it was funny. But...
For us, you live in the future.
Pardon?
For us, you live in the future.
Yeah, well, it's still the same day, but yeah, it's like 11 hours or maybe 10, 11. Yeah.
Yeah. I am just starting the day here, and you are.
I am somewhere in the middle.
Yeah, you are somehow already started it, and then
so it's 10 for you, Sandra, and for Carlos it's 9 in the morning.
No, for me it's 4. With Lisbon time. Yeah,
it's 4 p.m.
UK, it's also 4 hours from Azerbaijan.
Jesus Christ, quite eclectic. Yeah, for me it's 9 o'clock, which it means very, very early.
Yeah. And you wanted to meet earlier.
Alex, I was trying yes to meet a little bit earlier today, because I must take a train after our lesson, and then I will finish a little bit earlier, and we will pick up this time next session, if it's okay for you.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
Don't worry about it.
Okay, so let's summarize and take and have a look to your notes, and let me know, or in a kind of a schematical way, what we did the other day. So we have already started working in our piece, and what it's missing now, it's a title, or let's say a working title. So I think a title is a dramaturgical decision as well, because titles can be something that add extra information to the audience, or just some inspiration, or create chaos or confusion on purpose. This is possible to do with a title, or mystery, or curiosity, or whatever. Then, so sometimes the title is very clear from the beginning, but many times no. So that's why we say a working title, because now we can decide some temporary title, and during the process we can change it till the moment that we decide that yes, this is the one, so this is the definitely one.
Do you mean the performances we came up with last week? Is this the same one?
Yeah, exactly. We must finish somehow the round, because we start doing things, but then there are 2 other important things that we must finish. and then it's done. So we will move on to and we start the practice with the techno. So then this project or performance, whatever you are preparing from what we did the other day, what would be the title? Let's do something. Let's summarize the information we already have, starting with the subject, strategies, the cast, the place, and the timing. This is what we did, right? So, for example, Sandra, your subject was?
My subject was something with ongoing journey and 6 performers and
let's go one by one. So an ongoing journey.
Okay, yeah.
Then the strategy. So you said, if I remember well, that it was a kind of inspirational or motivational journey, right?
Yeah. And then it was like half male and half female performers.
Exactly. It was like 20, right? It was like three.
Well, we had like 6, but we could go with 10 or 15.
So finally, let's decide something.
Well, let's stay with 6.
6.
Yeah.
And then from these 6, 3 male, 3 female.
Yeah.
And then you said that they were contemporary dancers.
Yeah, like circus performers. Let's say 2 of them are in much higher and much higher physical. Sorry. Let's say 4 of them are contemporary and 2 of them circus performers who are doing, let's say, more handstandings and maybe more a very how would I say exhausted part of the performance.
Exhausted part of the performance. So, aerial rope.
Well, something like that. Yes, but they will do more like contact improvisation and contact things. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay.
What I want.
And then the place.
The place. We were talking about the place. Let's say like outdoor, somewhere in amphitheater, with black dancing floor, and the length is like no longer than 60 minutes.
60.
Yeah, and
okay, we stop here.
Yeah, we stopped here.
So then from this information, does it get you some inspiration about the title?
Yeah, I had something in my mind, but I forgot. Like embodied madness.
Okay, that's fine. Embodied madness. Okay, write it down. Write everything down, and then a kind of notebook.
Yeah.
Okay, Alex, let's make a summary on yours.
Okay. I can remember it was up a clock tower and there was a mechanic and there was an old person of the same gender who was classically trained, and that it was a shorter performance and half of the performance is walking up and walking back down. Maybe not half, but some of it. I think, is that it?
Yeah. So the sentence for the subject. This is kind of, you know.
My subject was compulsive obsession.
Exactly. Exactly. So, you know, it's many people who are creative and restless and passionate go through these kind of things. But as far as we are in a workshop trying to get some kind of methodology or something, I would strongly suggest that this sentence, even if it sounds stupid or sounds poor or sounds very, schematic or whatever, you keep it there, because then you know that all the time you can come back there, and then you can come back there and maybe make a little change, add some extra information, so that slowly this very basic motto will be richer and richer. No? Then I would say, like you said, a compulsory obsession. You said.
Yeah, that's the way I said it, but not obsessive compulsive.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Not the same thing.
Yeah. Okay.
It's not about. It's not about like a clinical definition. It's more of a repetitive, sudden movement activation.
Yeah, and then would you add, because now what we did the other day is, for example, to add something to try to define it a little bit, like a strategy, or what kind of obsession, what for, why is this obsession going
Mechanics.
on?
It's obsessed by the mechanic. It's the finding the tiniest small thing to break down. You know, like that, is it place? No. When you get closer to the door and it decreases by half, but eventually, obviously, it comes to nothing. Type obsessive, all gone.
Another useful question that we can make here at the moment that we are trying to define the subject is how this subject affect us personally. This is something that, well, I mean, I will always try to send you suggestions, of course, and you can use them or not. Some people think that this is not relevant, but I in the past I used to think that it was not relevant, but step by step I was changing my mind. Because when we choose a subject, or when we see a subject in something, like, for example, you saw that in the video, in the animation video, it linked with something belonging to us, something that we are, or something that belongs to the moment we are. For example, we are preparing the project, and it might be useful to know, to get this information. Do you think this is useful, or maybe for you it is not?
All the information, or keeping how I feel about it?
Yeah, exactly. So the connection you have with the subject. You think it's useful, or maybe not?
I don't know. I tend sometimes to not be very autobiographical or literal in the work that I make, and it's more like I find something that has I don't necessarily have a connection to it. So for me, that's kind of it's an interesting thing for me to think, I guess, because I don't actually ask myself that much.
And Sandra, what do you think about it?
Well, I'm somehow always connected to the subject. Yeah, it's just affect me. It changes my way of life at that moment when I'm starting to thinking about it. Even when I'm eating, it's a lot of interconnections between me and I don't know sometimes where I stopped and when my subject, my title, I mean my work starts. So sometimes I'm just dreaming about it. Sometimes I wake up and I see that with those thoughts I went to sleep. I'm waking up sometimes with that, with the same thoughts or with new thoughts. So yeah,
that's what I meant.
I'm connected
somehow. So it's not only, it could be, I mean, that we are going to be biographical or to say now in my next project I will talk about Carlos and Carlos' problems with I don't know, blah blah blah. No, it's not about that. It's about that it's us doing it, and if we had the freedom of choosing the subject, because of course if the subject is others, then it's not the same. So not about that. Some people ask us to prepare a play or a performance about compulsive obsession. It came from us. I think it might be useful to know or at least to feel why we are attached to that subject, because during the development many questions can be solved looking into it. So it doesn't mean that you are going to be very focused in trying to express your feelings, but maybe yes. So many people start a work because they want to express what they feel, what they think, and how they are involved in this subject. And this affects to the dramaturgy as well. So we can, from this point of view, we can say that there are two types of dramaturgy. For example, a cold dramaturgy, which is working dramaturgy, meaning that maybe when we are working with other people, and there is a hot dramaturgy when it's a dramaturgy absolutely connected with us, and we put this dramaturgy working and focused to explain exactly something extremely connected with us, for example. But then maybe Alex, now you don't feel like that. Besides, you didn't choose the video and you didn't choose the project. So did you feel somehow attached with the subject or not at all?
I mean, yeah, but it can also work in reverse, no? Like you find something fascinating and then you grow an attachment from looking at it. Like instead of being like, I'm going to choose something I already know I have a connection with it. You know, if I went and made a work about mechanics, like I'd probably get really into mechanics. You know,
I love from your project. I love the fact that you are working with an engineer. This is something that, for example, I've never done. I mean, sometimes I work with somebody completely out of the world of performing arts, and this is very interesting because they can light many things that from a completely different point of view. Okay. So let's move on, and then you choose a team of half dancers, half physical theater, right? If I remember well.
Me?
Yeah.
No, I had one old dancer and one mechanic with no dance training, but who's very precise and has an ability to reproduce without the implements.
Oh.
So there's a mime, I don't know.
Yeah, okay. Well, just summarizing. And then the
Yeah.
place and the time.
The time, I think we talked about it a little bit, and it's probably better it's an hour, but 15 minutes of that is walking up and down. So it's only maybe 45-minute piece, 40-minute piece. And what was the other thing? The place? No, we
The
said
place
that.
where.
Oh yeah,
the
in a clock tower somewhere with
Yeah, I remember now. Yeah, exactly. So, with this information, is there a title popping up maybe? Or?
I wrote something down that's dumb as, but I give it anyway. But I wrote the Mechanage, but it's like Mechin and then age, and it kind of like, because there's age in it. It doesn't mean anything, but it sounds kind of French. I went with that. And because it's the, I like making a work with the in the front of it. Because it's like it's already there.
Okay. Now, next step is that with this, what you have, let's imagine that you have an appointment with a producer, meaning that it's not only the person or the agency who is going to organize all the practical stuff, but putting money as well. So talking about the budget that you need for your. Then let's try to imagine that you have this meeting with a producer with the information you have. And okay, are you ready for this? For example, Alex. Let's imagine now that I am the producer, and then you must introduce me your idea. You must convince me that I invest in your idea.
Okay, maybe I make a slight adjustment, which makes it even harder for casting. But I want a mechanic who is also deaf and speaks sign language.
Okay.
So that they can actually be doing sign language, explaining what they're doing, but making it look like they were doing engineering work. And then you only figure out later into the piece that it's sign language. And then in that way, I could maybe pitch it to like an accessible audience, because only half of the audience or less who would understand that would be able to read it, whereas the rest of the audience gets a completely different picture. And I town council people that want to maybe put money into a nice clock space that needs to be done up. I don't know. How's that?
Okay. Now I'm ready. I'm waiting for you. And then you must convince me.
Of what?
That I take a project, I put some money in your project, and I take care of the product. Huh?
Well, if you like a good story, like stories very convenient for the summer, and if you like to see physical bodies in 100% of demanding performance, and if you like bodies in motion who are very convincing in that what they are doing, then that would be a nice piece. I'm talking about my piece. That would be a nice piece, especially with this title. But Embodied Madness, I was thinking like this could be much convenient for the workshop. Let's say like Unbroken, like one word. It's always one or two words are always better than a long title. So let's say like Unbroken, and we are still talking about ongoing journey, about repetitive movements, which will evoke very passionate and repetitive strategy, and who wants to stay until the end will see a lot of demanding physical activities, and would be great for let's say summer. And we all love theater in the summer, somewhere in the amphitheater, and where is everything open, and where people can let's say afterwards meet and maybe drink soft drinks and blah, blah.
And it's during daylight or is in the evening?
Well, it should be like let's say after 7 p.m.
It's still daylight.
Yeah, but soon will be. I mean, yeah. Oh my God. Okay, we can start at 9 o'clock then, because it's like no longer than 60 minutes. Okay, we will talk about 8 o'clock. 8 o'clock till 9.
you need that it's dark. It's in the evening.
What do I need?
That it's not daylight. It's just dark. So when the sun sets.
Yeah, it needs to be like PM. Yeah, it needs to be not daylight.
Okay, how many people can we accept in this amphitheater for every performance?
How many people in the audience? Oh, well,
300, 400?
Didn't
oh,
you have like
no. 80. Less than 100. We want some like private atmosphere, but still with a lot of people. I mean, a lot of people. We don't want 300. It's like a concert.
Okay. Alex, what were you saying?
I was just remembering, I think Sandra said something about having a very specific and like isolated seating arrangement.
Yeah. You're right. Yes,
Yeah.
isolated. Yeah, we are not sitting like in the movie, or I mean, we can. Yeah, it's open and wide, and it's amphitheater, so people can sit wherever they want. But for all of them, it needs to be seen. I mean, the stage needs to be somewhere in the center.
But remember that we mentioned that this is somehow not really supporting intimacy. This open air, big space, amphitheatrum. It's just something
for the summer. Yes, if we are talking about some other season, then I would go inside with the less space, and let's say 60 to 80 people. Maybe just one wall will be, let's say, like in canonic way, will be people would be sitting. You know,
Do you
like
control how they sit though? Like, do you want to tell them where to sit, like in a weird arrangement, or you just let them free and expect, like, because sometimes people just get into a bunch. They don't know otherwise.
Yeah, I will not say people where they can sit. They can sit where they want in this space, but yeah. But usually in this in these small theaters, you need to sit. You know, like close, and well, especially after COVID, it's not very simple anymore to sit close. Even for me, I mean, I like to have my space. But that's me. I mean, people forgot about COVID in theaters. They're sitting close.
If one person sat like all the way at the top by themselves, just alone, you wouldn't be like, "Why are you alone?" You don't care.
No. Because I saw that situations, and I mean, he's a little bit isolated, but he can maybe see the best the performance. No. They can sit wherever they want, and they can decide. I mean, the place.
Now, Alex is doing questions, the producer's question. So, So this kind of questions could be
But-
the questions of a producer.
Yeah, I have. Okay, sorry.
So help me, Alex. Help me. Let's become both of us the producer, the hypothetical producers of Sandra's project. Sandra,
Please take my piece. I promise I will do the best. I'm just kidding.
normally,
No, I will do my best.
Normally, even that they are not normally they are not ugly people, but it's not easy to talk to them. So it's not easy to talk to them at all. But Sandra, have you?
I'm very bad in selling the product. I can do, creative part the best, but when I need to, offer, oh my God, I'm very bad for myself too.
No, I will tell you in the end why are we doing this practice. So I am not going to teach you how to sell, unfortunately, because I even have my own problems to sell things. But this has a different purpose now. Okay, so Sandra, have you already calculated an estimated budget?
Estimated what?
Budget.
Budget. Oh God, I was doing a few days ago something like that. Oh my God, that is. Well, I think you need to help me because we have, let's say, six dancers, and it's summer.
How many performances though? How long do you want to do it for? Like a week?
That's a very good question. That's a very good question. So
I was thinking like four
days.
Four performances.
4.
Yes.
Okay, and do you have an estimated?
I mean, it's always like that. It's ending on 5th, and then people are. I was always doing like 2, 3, and then the new title, new performance.
But now we are in the. Remember that we are in the ideal world.
Oh, okay, ideal world. Then the whole summer, like 8, 10.
Claro. So exactly.
Forever.
The whole summer. The whole summer. Every day at 9 o'clock. You said no.
Not every day.
At 9 o'clock there is a performance. Is there any free day during the week?
Well, yeah, maybe Monday would be nice.
Okay,
to
then let's say from Tuesday to Sunday.
To Sunday, yes.
Now it's okay. Then have you calculated an estimated budget, more or less?
My God.
It's an ideal world, Sandra. It's an ideal world. You can say whatever you want.
Okay. So, oh my God. Oh my God, I'm so bad with the numbers. I don't live in ideal world when I'm doing these things. It's.
Are you going to work with empty space, right?
Yeah.
So the main is salaries for the performers.
Yes, for the performers, for the lights, for
the technical team, exactly, the choreographer.
Yeah, choreographer. Maybe I have a dramaturg as well. He's also, I mean, a dramaturg. I need to pay him from 1,000 euros and up. I mean, he's like a choreographer. I mean, very expensive.
That's the salary of a dramaturg in your country, from 1,000.
Well, the salary, it depends how government, gives for the project. But let's say 1,000 euros for him only, and 1,000 euros for choreographer, and then the rest is for the poor people who are actually doing this all on the stage. I mean, they are all doing, and we are doing costumes and we are doing lights, and they all have a right to have a good salary. I mean.
Okay, how are you going to deal with music? So, do you need music? It's a live music. It's we need the rights of some already written music. Do you want somebody to write?
We need the rights. Let's say that I will ask some
a composer
for the rights. Composer, yes. It's not a DJ, but something. It's a person who doing his own music or her own music.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay, clear. So we might need as well to deal with that. Okay.
Like electronic music.
Something ambiental. Something.
So 60,000 euros.
Yeah, it could be. Yeah, 60,000 euros. Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe. Yeah. Let's stay with this 60,000 euros.
Okay. Then I will think about it. Then let's listen, Alex. Now you can help me, Sandra, as well. With Alex.
Mm-hmm.
I have no idea. Oh my god. Well, I'll try and get funding from the sign language action group, and I'll try and get city heritage something or other for enacting the space. If I can, let's just put 50,000 grand from those two that I managed to fish. So oh yeah, I don't work in euros. I don't understand them. So everything I say has silly numbers attached to it. I don't even know the exchange rate. This might be nothing to you.
So you are Australian dollars or what is it?
Yeah.
And how is
Australian dollars? You don't have pounds? Oh my god!
No, not since the 60s. Long time.
Sorry.
Okay. Anyway, so that's intelligent to try to find fundings that are related with the subject of the performance. But the important thing to me now for this practice of the success that you meet the right person. So let's imagine that Sandra and me now belongs to this funding about death and blah blah blah, and then because there are like two times when in this conversation. So first time in the conversation is when you explain the project, and when you said, I had an idea, I want to talk about this and that and that, and I will do in this way and this way, and I think this is very important and interesting for the people because of this and this and that. And so this is let's say the first part of the conversation. And then normally from the feedback of the producer or you yourself are ready for that, you jump into the practical. So let's say, first of all, this is my idea, and then I think we can do this in an open air theater during that many days and da da da. So I have calculated that it could cost between this and this. So you always can create an arc. So you can say this is very important. Instead of saying one number, if you say an arc, so from 40 to 60,000, for example, then this is good for opening a conversation about this. and the exploitation plan, because I know what Sandra said, and this happens many times. Fortunately, the one project is born, is done, and dies. But we can think about that. Once it's done, our purpose, our interest, and not only financial, is that the most people can see and can enjoy the performance, and it could travel, and we can show it as long and as many times as possible. This is a good information as well. And then, if the people you are talking, they will ask you paperwork, and then you must wait the decision. No? So for this practice, I am interested, especially in the first part. So when you face Sandra and Carlos, like the possible people who is going to invest in your idea, what would you tell them in order to say that you must invest in this idea because this idea is going to break the sky?
Okay.
Courage.
I have this new work, which I want to have someone who is not a dancer and is also deaf and speaks in sign language, and choreograph with them, as well as an older dancer, and it to sort of speak to dance as a language outside of forms and teaching, perhaps, and like codified styles, as it being something more expanded and expansive, and also can happen in the everyday, but then as a precise and fine-tuned thing, like mechanics. And I want it to go for 10 days and just once a day, and so it's a little bit exclusive, and I don't know how it would tour, but I want to do it here in this city because that's where the clock tower is.
Mm-hmm.
So how many people can how many audience can stand there? They will standing or sitting?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they'll be standing. There'll be a seat up there, like with the invigilator if necessary. But they have to, it's not accessible. It's not an accessible work for people who are other abled with the legs. It's accessible, obviously, for deaf people. And there might be a hearing caption thing for anyone that's blind. But if you can't walk up the stairs, you can't get in. So, I don't know.
It's nice. It looks so great that it's accessible for the, let's say, disabled people. I mean, audience too. This is great because unless there happen
to be an elevator, but I'm not working with that in mind, really.
Maybe people from council will think about these things. From the government.
Well, I can tell you that one thing we are not going to do is to put an elevator outside the tower. That is something that we are not going to do for sure.
Okay.
But anyway, we can.
Well.
So you thought about this real and concrete tower, which it does exist, right?
Well, I haven't thought of one specifically, but I have an imaginary tower.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. So it's one in the town, let's say, and let's imagine that that it's real. This is a good way to introduce the subject. Okay. So then, how would be the frequency of the?
So I like the performances happening at the same time, and ideally that there would be some bell or something that would indicate this. So maybe midday, every day except Monday and Tuesday for 10 days, which ends up being like 2 weeks if you look at it on a calendar. 1 hour. So from 12 to 1. So it starts with a bell toll and it ends with a bell toll because it's a bell tower.
Would we need the help of the Catholic Church?
No, because this is a bell tower in
That makes the things very complicated.
Well, not in Australia. The Catholic Church
Okay.
doesn't really have much of a presence here, so
Good to
that's
know.
fine.
Good to know.
Maybe if I was making it somewhere else.
Yeah, for example, is it an option that we travel with this?
Oh, look, if I have really unlimited resources, I could make this work again and again in all the bell towers of all the world. But that's insane. But maybe that's what I do from bell to bell. And I can, if I can travel it in the time zone, we can go continuously for 10 days, going backwards an hour each day to a new place and keep doing it at the same time. But that's insane money.
I mean, why
Who
not?
knows? It's an
Why
idea.
not?
I'm for
And
the
then-
option to travel somewhere, somewhere where open spaces and a good, summer weather. I can be open for a whole year.
You, Sandra,
Can stay
must
in
wait
summer.
And I can go to Australia too.
Yeah, in the summertime, so you can keep going.
Yeah,
I know,
Okay.
I know what happens, Peter.
because this is an ongoing journey. So
Yeah, chasing the
Never
summer.
Okay, so I will send you your email each other, and then you can start making business, some business about. Okay, so why are we doing this? So it is, as I told you, it's not the purpose is not to teach or to suggest you how to sell, but when we need to explain our project in a situation, let's say, more uncomfortable than with a friend in a cafe. You are already doing pure dramaturgy. Normally, it is not conscious how we are organizing the information. But then the desire situation is that it is conscious, because when we have already started drawing all the dramaturgical lines, we start feeling the strongest points, the weakest points, the most attractive or brilliant points, the difficulties, the things we need, and we didn't put them in the list of things that cost an effort, human or financial. This is, I mean, many times when we think and when we imagine, we need this and that, and I need a swimming pool, a horse, a background with a projection, a very very nice and beautiful dances and blah blah blah. So all the things that we imagine, then it will come the moment that once it puts in the dramaturgical conception, our task is make them real. No, I mean, so it was not only a moment that we enjoy at home, thinking in loud voice how amazing things we can do. So it arrives in that. So the toughest or the most uncomfortable conversation you can have about your project might be with a producer. That's why for the practice we did it with a producer. But this conversation, you will have it as well with when you are casting. So with the people that you'd like, they work with you. So, for example, Alex, you need one performer.
Two.
Two performers, because you include the engineer.
Yeah. They actually probably need more choreographic help than the dancer.
Okay. So,
especially if they're actually deaf.
Well, in your case, it's interesting because you will have two different type of conversations. Because it's not always the same when you talk to a performer than when you talk, in this case, with a guy that maybe don't even go to the theater.
Yeah.
So, for example, where are you going to look for an engineer?
I'm gonna go to some mechanics.
Mechanics. I love that.
I guess I might put I wouldn't even know. I mean, it doesn't have to be. I'm saying mechanic, and I'm sort of had like a car in the back of my head, but I mean, it could be anything really, and it would be more like if I was looking for someone from, like the sign community.
But for example, let's say the university, maybe.
Yeah. But I mean, yeah, I don't know. Look, that might just be an incredibly fraught and difficult like maybe the most.
I am realizing now that maybe it's harder than to talk with a producer, because you will say.
I need to say I already have him.
Yeah, no. But you know, for my interest now is that if I imagine, so your case, you will have two meetings. One meeting with the hypothetical, so the appliant dancer or performer, and another meeting with the applier, so the hypothetical engineer. No? These two meetings, I am trying to imagine, and I ask you to imagine these meetings. So in these meetings, when you meet the performer, you will have to do something like we did with the producer. So explain your idea, that she understands it properly, but understands it not only from the brain point of view, but understands what you want and how you are involved in that project, and blah blah blah. And you will have to cut her attention. So because it's not only, you are not only to talk about money, no? So it's not only about a salary that I will pay you very, very well. But you know, not normally, I mean, sometimes yes, but normally the performers is not the way you convince them with a salary, no? So you.
Oh, well, if my older person who, let's say they haven't danced or performed for a very long time, it would be more of an incentive, like, do you want to do this? Like, I'm not saying like the money is irrelevant, but if someone's, because I'm honestly thinking like 70, 80, like old. Sorry, I don't know, whatever, older. So then it would be like talking to people who I know, like older in the community, and it's like, would you want to perform again? How do you feel about that? And then we can discuss salary, because it might just be a no.
Well, it's an exceptional circumstances, huh? So I am completely sure that you would learn a lot about dramaturgy when you talk with this old lady, because this old lady will ask you many things that you might not have thought about that, and this is connected with dramaturgy. So I don't know. I mean, I need I would need to put in the skin of this old lady, and write down a list of questions. But for example, one thing I think it's obvious is that, so if I am a 70-year-old yearling and a young and brilliant Alex, director, choreographer, and dramaturg, called me and you asked me to be a part of your show, the first thing I would ask you is why do you want a 17 years old performer? Why do you want me? I am always retired, you know. I've been like more than 10 or 15 years without being on the stage.
Well, I want to make a statement to the audience about when you do something obsessively, how it lives in the body forever, and to present them with something that is not commonly seen as a different, like via an older body.
That's what you said. It's amazing. It's not only convincing me to accept the project, but you must put this into the main guidelines of your dramaturgy. Yeah, amazing. So it's more than a north, than to have a north. It's something very strong. And maybe you didn't think about it, and it came from the conversation you have with your potential performer. From her point of view, to put, you know, the empathy here is really important thing, because, you know, it's like if you put one moment in her place, then these questions for sure will show up, because I mean it's maybe not for you, not from your point of view, but from her point of view, it's clear or it's obvious somehow, and this is a very powerful way to contribute the dramaturgy of your project, to start building the dramaturgy of your project. Because then imagine that from the moment that you are hiring her, after signing the contract and blah, 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 there will come the first day of rehearsals, and there is already a very strong agreement between you two. So she will not feel strange or in the wrong place or lost or whatever, which is basic for what we said the other day, that you need the performers become active part of the dramaturgy of your project. With the engineer, I can imagine something similar, or even with the engineer, I would really like that you do that and tell me, invite me to see you through a little hole of the wall, because we will learn a lot. So imagine one professor from Sydney University of Technicians, whatever, that said, oh, that might be interesting. Then I will go to talk with this person, and you have a meeting, no? And you already can imagine his questions.
Yeah, I mean, two things I've realized. One, it is very unlikely I'm going to find an old female mechanic, so the genders, and probably also just as hard, maybe not, but that I find an old male dancer. So let's just say the genders don't have to be set, for one, because that is just a thing I only thought of. But also, I think academically I need to steer because it's like not necessarily always the case, but if I found like somebody from University of Sydney, he'd probably be very shy, whereas perhaps a street mechanic who's used to dealing with people all the time has an element of character playfulness. Like I know a few people, like I don't know them very well, but I overhear them talking and they're very loud, very, you know, crazy characters. No, but so I need somebody like that who would be happy to perform. I can't just go up to some robotics expert and be like, do you want to get on the stage, mate? It's good money, because they won't.
I mean, the strategy is might be different. Yes, imagine if you can have the chance to choose. I mean, that you find more than 4 or 5 appliers, and people who can be very freaky in the sense, not in the sense that, you know, from the staging point of view. For example, people that gets completely blocked if they have to talk or to show themselves in front of the audience, no? or people who are very, very, very shy and very introverted. This is English. Introverted, and so you will have to deal with many extra issues. That somehow pushes you out of the performing art landscape, let's say.
Well, it's especially also if they're deaf, because I don't speak sign language. So if I need to interview them, I also need a translator.
Yeah, I mean, definitely, you will need an assessor, because this is like if I am using in my next show a trapeze, I would need an assessor of trapeze, because I am not a circus or a trapeze. So yeah. When you are doing this, you will ask assessors.
Well, I mean, also because you would want to be sure, like, because I know in Australia we have our own language for sign, and like certain things mean other things in other words or languages, and it's like, you know, like this is fuck you, and that would be very simple to do. And if someone was in the audience being like, why? So you would need to have actually someone who's tells you what you're saying if you are saying anything, you know. So that's a whole minefield.
The deaf codes, you know, in Australia are different than in the other parts of the world.
The death code?
The codes.
Oh, yeah. So in Australia we have one, in Asia we have one, North America has one, South America, Europe is all the same, I think. They're all different. So yeah.
But this I didn't know that.
So that would be a little bit problematic if you will travel.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, then maybe you should stay in Australia.
Maybe. we don't have that many bell towers, though.
Come on. It's not enough complicated that there are so many languages.
I was you.
Now when we are opening the conversation, it's more complicated, and with these things, only with him, with this deaf thing.
There are many questions that come down from Alex proposal. Many interesting from the audience point of view as well. But I will not jump into it because we need to move on. And Sandra will have as well. You will have as well your moment with the performers that want to become a member of your team. You will have to. How would you cast? Because you need 6 people. Yeah. In the case of Alex, it's a very special case. I can imagine a meeting. I can imagine a conversation. Yeah. Maybe you would invite her one Saturday afternoon to your rehearsal room, and try with her something and blah blah blah. I don't know. But in your case, Sandra, you need 6 people. So what would you do?
Yeah, I need 6 people. I need maybe assistant for acrobatics and all these circus things, and maybe another assistant for contemporary dance. So we need to have strong, young, male and female physical demanding performance. Maybe not just physical, maybe also they need to express their feelings, act a little bit. So they need to have knowledge about simple acting. And maybe we will, like I said, maybe we will introduce some words during the performance, so they need to express their voice and feelings.
Yeah, but my question was like, what would you do to cast?
To cast.
Imagine that you will put an advertisement, and then
I will work like 5 days workshop. Like open workshop, and then I will choose. I think this is the best idea, because everybody gain, even people who I don't like, negativity around these things. I like to be very organic, and
I totally support this. I do the same when I can. I mean, if there's no impediment, a workshop, a casting workshop.
Yeah, casting workshop. Yes.
That takes more than
and it's not, it's less under the pressure, because I remember when I went for this kind of workshop, when they when was close, like workshop for only people who wants to perform. It was a big pressure for all of us, but if it's open, you forget why you're here. You're just doing your best. I mean, you're doing your best there, but it's a lot of pressure when you want to express all your knowledge, through the body, and sometimes you can get hurt. I mean, I know. So open space for everyone, and then we will choose.
Okay. So both of you agree.
I have a question. When you say open casting workshop, do you know? Sorry, are you telling them before the workshop that it is actually a?
Yeah, of course. Yes. It's like audition, but yeah.
I mean, you should. Sometimes, for example, now, sometimes, for example, I remember people. So I said, in my new project, I really would like to work with that performer I met in a former workshop, and that can happen. But if you are preparing a workshop with a purpose of casting, then you must tell. So you must tell. I mean, it wouldn't be fair if you don't tell.
Yeah.
So, but it is true that it's the best way, because in my case, if you are interested, this is something very personal. More and more, the older I get, the most I really give importance to work with people I like.
Yeah.
This, what does it mean? It means that if I have to choose between two people with both of them very high level, from the technical point of view, very good dancers, very good performers, both of them. But then I have a feeling, I don't know, a human.
Mhm.
With one of them, I will do that, because I had many experiences in the past, and that, sometimes people with very high level are not really nice people.
Yeah,
And
you must deal with the ego too.
yeah, oof, the ego, my God. The ego is some dramaturgical thing as well. So
Mm.
we need to talk about the ego, as well as the dramaturgical.
I should say it's very different in Australia.
Ah,
It's a
great.
problem. People are not egotistic enough. Everybody just works with their friends. It can be very, very closed in that way. But also, like, if you ask 10 people in a room, like, who wants to be the first? No, everyone just waits for the other person. Like, we're really too shy. Like, I haven't met that many crazy egotistical dancers. I know it exists, but it's different in Australia.
In Europe as well. In Europe, there is a lot of very nice people and very good performers.
I'm not necessarily saying they're nice. It's just like
exactly. But
Yeah.
the question with the ego is that it's a sleep tiger.
Mm.
The ego is a sleep tiger. So then this means that when you meet a person, you will not see her ego or his ego at the first time.
unless you already know them because you worked with them before.
Yeah, I mean, if you know, but if you meet them for the first time, for example, a workshop, when you are casting, everybody will be wonderful people, because they know that that you are looking at them, and you will decide. So, but then you must develop a X-ray side, let's say, in order to see where is hidden each one's ego, because everybody has an ego. I have an ego. Everybody. And then the question is that this could be something even positive. It's not necessarily negative, but you need to deal with that. You need to deal with that, and to the ego of one person in the most unexpected moment can wake up this tiger and scratch your face, and this is something that you must be ready for that, or to know how you are going to react. I mean, if we follow the logic I am trying to communicate you from the first day in this dramaturgical way of working, if we agree that we need the complicity of the performers to build the dramaturgy of the piece, where is the role of ego here? So if ego contribute to that or disturb that process. In a very shy person, that, for example, you need her or his to jump with more motivation or stronger into the dramaturgical process, maybe touching the ego, or maybe start working with the ego is something positive. But with a person who the ego is something like, wow, then nothing, you will not be able to make her or make him see through your eyes, because the ego will blind him or her. So that's why the ego is another dramaturgical issue that you need to take care. Okay, so then after the workshop, Sandra, you have the meeting, the first meeting, in order you try to communicate the team, or what's in your mind, or your plans, and blah, blah, blah. This, from both of you, these conversations and these meetings are not enough at all to achieve your purpose, which is the complicity of the performers. It's an starting point. It's the rehearsal day when you will start the real job of making them involved in the dramaturgy. And for example, we have an extraordinary tool to do this, and it's the improvisation. But improvisation, what is improvisation for you, Alex?
I guess the kind of improvisation that I'm interested in or would do would be like a series of set tasks, and perhaps that would go into long format, but I find also the long format freewheeling improvisation can be quite like you get too much feedback and it becomes out of control. So it would be short little sections and looking at it kind of that way and building on things that I like and accumulating with that, I guess.
Sandra, for you?
Yeah, this is something which is created organic and spontaneously. So it's usually I'm using a lot of improvisation in my work, and I like to combine also with free form movement or music as a jazz, as a support, because jazz and let's say improvisation movements are very kind of similar. So yeah, let's stay here. And improvisation for me is very empowering and very liberated point of expressing yourself as an actor, dancer. So there is a lot of option. I like a lot of options in movement. So yeah, I like structural things, but also when people can be very liberated and free in their own decisions.
Improvisation is the tool. It's that powerful tool, but then it's like, it's like a plane. When you jump into the cabin of the plane and you see those brutal buttons and clicks and lights and so then you see that you realize that to control a plane, to use a plane is not an easy thing at all. So this happens with the improvisation. It's can be done for many different things, and you need to know why and what for you are doing this concrete improvisation, this another one, how you would that. So this, all the possibilities you have to fly a plane. In connection with dramaturgy, I would suggest you that you invest the first rehearsals, I don't know, the first week maybe, the first 5-10 rehearsals, to reach this target that we've been talking about, which is that your performers understand, but not only a brainy thing, but from their stomach, from their heart, and in an organical way, your guidelines of the dramaturgy, to make them see and enjoy and feel what you have already prepared for the play, more than start with improvisations to build the play. I mean, I am clear with this. Do you understand what I mean? So wait a little bit because you will have already scenes and things and that you will try to ask them from the improvisations. So wait a little bit for that, and focus in a process that it could be called like make them falling in love with the drama. Because then, if you reach that moment, the improvisations they will do after from that moment will be much more powerful and much more useful for your purposes. If they have inside, they understand, they get the main dramaturgical point, they will be able to send them back to you things from their body, from their movement, from their voice, if you are using a voice, etc., etc., etc.
Okay, so like, for instance, then, if I was, I mean, it's one person, but like my mechanic, if I brought them a bunch of like, building blocks or whatever, and they did things, and then I eventually took away the blocks so that they understood that the process of what I was trying to get them to do was work really small and fine detail, and then expand from there in a sort of improv. Is that the kind of thing that you're saying, so that they understand why I'm doing, but I'm not giving them a set, like one activity, it's just similar types of things?
Yeah. I mean, you come back to the subject. The subject was tell me again.
Compulsive obsession.
Exactly. So then you prepare and design some improvisations to work on that, and then you tell them in order that somehow they get close to this feeling, to this idea. Then you stop, and then you will exchange. You will brainstorm, and then in combining what you saw with your eyes while they were doing the impro and what they say in the brainstorming, you can start grabbing slightly this thing yes, this thing no, this thing yes, this thing maybe, because it's not always about yes or no. If everything is fine, meaning that you prepare the rehearsal with this purpose, that you are open, that they feel comfortable, you realize that many things that will support your dramaturgy will come up during that rehearsal in an unexpected way for you, in a way you did not expect, and might improve your original proposal. This is, I mean, this is connected with two different conceptions of performing arts. One conception is the director, the god, the boss, and everybody obeys. And the other conception is that everybody has a voice in building the show, although everybody has a role, and the role of the director is, the choreographer is to say, okay, in the end, this is here, this is. I mean, there are some decisions that must be taken from outside. But if you really want to go through an organical dramaturgy, to listen the performance, it's a must. It's a must. And then the other version is the director who has the dramaturgy very clear in his or her mind, and impose it to the team, including the performers. In my opinion, only very strong people, and when I say very strong people, you get the powerful names that are become genius or very famous directors, Bob Wilson, Tadeusz Kantor, these kind of personalities that are very, very brutal, strong, can succeed in this. Because if not, then imposing your dramaturgy to other people and succeed 100% succeed is very rare, is very strange.
But also I think like this this God type person, they're also incredibly hardworking and like really fleshing out. They know exactly what to do when they get into the room because they've already made a decision. So like as much as that's difficult to maybe convince someone because they've done the work, then it's also kind of rare, I think, to find someone who already knows exactly what they want, because usually these things change. But
but you know, I don't really think that even them knows 100% what they want. It's very tricky. So when I say strong personality, I mean more than they know what they want. I mean that they tell you what to do in a way that you cannot say no. And your artistic personality contribute somehow in the process, because you are not. You are not going to strike to go on strike. You disagree what the director or the choreographer tells you. You disagree that, but you work with this disagreement and make it yours, because he is Bob Wilson. But because many people will not do that.
Will not work with them because of this, you mean? Or
when Carlos is not Bob Wilson, so and if I want some performer do something that he or she doesn't want, I cannot impose them. They will not do it. And if they do, they will do it in a way angry, completely disagreement, completely, that their body will shout, "I do not want to do this, but I do this because the director told me."
Yeah, of course. But then it's also like if and I'm sure there are very big name people that, I don't know, bully and demean people into doing what they want. And then, yes, as you say, there is a sort of resentment within the performance. But at the same time, it's just like a shitty working ethic from the point of view of the contractually obliged dancer or performer. So
That's true. That's true, and you know, society has changed as well. So it's not the same now than 50 years ago. Meaning that, for example, I will not tell you names, okay? But there is a very famous choreographer, and I have a friend of mine was working with him during 1 year, and she suffered sexual harassment, psychological abuse, and even there was one day that he slapped her. And this is in 2019, so 2020, so in 21st century, you know. And then there was when there was a big scandal and blah blah blah. So people is not going to accept this anymore. But in the 80s, I can tell you horror stories, literally horror stories of people that when I met them, they were like kind of gods in their landscape. For example, in Barcelona, the text-based theater god director was Papa, and then I went into rehearsals. I was his assistant. I collaborate in the dramaturgical process, for example, and this was like a nightmare. But nobody said no. Nobody said, I will not do that. Now, hopefully, although it's not perfect, especially depending on the place, now it's changing. No, it's changing. Are you aware of course of the Plácido Domingo scandal? No. Wow. Okay. Plácido Domingo, the tenor, the director of the Metropolitan Opera House, ex-former. Well, it's in the end of his career, and he got some people that put him into the accuse him of sexual harassment during decades. And he's one of the genius of singing and opera conducting. And I'm completely sure that when he was a director, everybody did what he wanted. Well, this is not what we want, right? So yeah. So and you know, and sometimes deal with performers. Sometimes it's really frustrating because you know it's not easy at all. No? But you must find a way, and these improvisations that I was suggesting you the first days of the rehearsals, improvisations that from your point of view are very well planned, but looks like cozy and look like a little bit like gamey, creating atmosphere, relaxing and open doors and slightly introducing some subjects of the dramaturgy in a very positive way. This is going to be very, very useful when you start working hard in the production. Many people don't want to do that because they think that this is like, oh, come on, this is losing time. I don't think this is losing time at all. I think this is investing, because then in in the second moment, you will get a lot of strong things from the performance. Okay, let's make a break. What do you think?
Yeah, we can make a.
And then the second part, we start. If you have questions about what we've done today, and if not, then okay, then check the text, and I will start giving you some tips to work with words and to work with text.
Mm-hmm.
Did you receive it, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Could you check it more or less?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So then this is it. So 15 minutes. It's okay.
Okay.
Okay. So see you now.
See.
Hello.
Hello.
Welcome back. Okay. So we started the other day with an inspirational motive, which was a motion, so this animation short film. Now let's imagine that this inspirational motor is a text. So then what could we do, and how could we face the work with the text? First of all, let me ask you, what is your relationship with text on the stage? Huh? No.
Yeah.
Well, sorry, Nate, you go.
No, you go. Sorry. You were on.
Well, I was just like, because I'm studying dramaturgy, and the place I study it at only looks at theatre, not dance. So I've been doing a lot in the last year, but in my actual life and interest, not so much. But I really like the idea of not so much like text, but words on stage. But I've never like apart from school been in like a full play. I mean, actually I have done some stuff when I was younger, been in plays, but it's not really my thing. Yeah. I read books.
Yeah.
I like books.
Of course. But what do you want? I mean, if you can choose, what would you want to do, to be a director or a choreographer?
Me? I'm much more interested in choreography, but I'm also like quite interested specifically in dance dramaturgy as its own thing. So that's something I'm trying to negotiate with, because I mean, most choreographers do their own dramaturgy, so we'll see.
And then do you have any kind of experience in working with a choreographer?
Yeah. No, I've been working with a couple over the summer, the last few months of summer here. Obviously, I'm in a shirt, but not usually in like a paid capacity. It'd be more like friends that I kind of do things for. Yeah.
And did you find it very different, not that different than when you were working, the text is in text-based theatre?
Yeah, well, I mean, specifically with text-based theatre, I think as I said to you last week, like the hierarchy, and especially perhaps in the conservatoire that I'm learning in is quite set within the theatre. And the role of, it's always, whenever I've engaged like with a director, let's say, like there's always what are you going to do? How are you going to do it? I don't entirely trust you. What are you offering? How's this going to work out? Contractual thing. And then a lot of it, like when I've worked with a writer, is very different to working with a director. I much prefer the writer. And in this way, it's maybe more similar to choreography because it's like, what do you mean with this? What is this trying to say? How does that work? Whereas the director is sometimes a little bit more concrete about what they want to do with things. So my relationship is a little bit more of a like serving role. Can be.
Okay.
More conceptual with a writer. Yeah.
Do you like directors?
I've had some questionable experiences. So yeah, some.
Okay. Sandra, so what's your relation with text?
Yeah, I like negotiating with words, scores, and the movement on the scene. So I'm usually, I'm always include some words or repetitive words. So, well, depends on meaning why I'm doing this. But let's say with this piece, I would do, since it's obsessive and ongoing and repetitive, maybe I would use some not very demanding sentences, but the same thing.
In the one we've been working.
No, here, yeah. I've been working also with the sounds, how you're pronouncing these words. So working with emotions. A lot of, I'm putting a lot of evoking a lot of somatic things. So it's a nice combination of words, somatic feelings, how you're feeling, interoception and how people feels from inside. But here, yes, I was thinking maybe to negotiate with one sentence and then how we can make plausible this sentence for the audience and for the performers and blah blah.
I like that. Negotiate with one sentence. I like.
Yeah, because you can use improvisation and then who knows what will. It can be a story afterwards. It can be told a story after one sentence, and this is nice. I was working once with one performer, and it was really fascinating how you can be imaginative from inside. From with the body, but also with the words too.
So, how was the title of your proposal? One second.
Dear, here.
The one we've been working starting last.
Infinite body.
Mm-hmm. And then would you use some text there?
Yes. I was using more words, scores, but we were more, not. I was working on that was like a workshop when I was working with the sentences and with the two performers, and it was really nice because we were working also on walk on how we are using our body and how we are directing to each other these sentences and emotions. And it was, oh my God, I thought that, on my jaw was like, oh, I didn't know how to express anymore the same sentence. I mean, like today is folk. So when you walk, when you directing people, when you want to do something with a movement, I mean, the words are becoming so, you're becoming so sensible, and it's like the voices doesn't come anymore like now. But when you're performing or doing very concentrating things, then some things you are losing.
Alex, what did you want to say?
Or just something I had as a thought. I think so a text, specifically in this case, because it's like famous old published, but it's an object, and it exists, let's say, as an entirety. So there is a preformed thing with which you have to work, and which you have not created. Let's say I didn't write it, so maybe it would be different if I did. But so then it's also like there's a high level of interpretation already before you even start a project. Whereas if you come with like a development process of making, I mean, it would be different if someone said, "Here's the choreography, now work with it." But like with a text, there is a certain choreo. I mean, like you couldn't make this about just anything. It has to have some sort of relation, otherwise the text is not relevant. So there's linking connection work that needs to go into the process because it already exists in the world for me.
For example, in your work with the engineer and the old lady, would you use some text?
I hadn't thought about it. Probably not, because I wanted the quietness of focused attention and almost like a silence with a possibly like a very minimal, very like low pitch sort of a sound. But
I would say Alexandra is using a lot of words in her, but it's a different, it's a
okay,
language
true.
sign. So I think, but yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Okay. So the main thing when we deal with text is I connected with what we said about the duality, this false or forced duality between mind and body. Then the text in our culture is automatically linked with the mind. But if we push the line, or accept that the mind belongs to the body, so it's another part of the body, then we might find what it could be called a physical text. And understand that the conception of a text is another function of the body. There are different parts of the body connected with the fact of creating a text. Maybe, starts officially, let's say, starts in the mind. And when the text starts in the mind, it comes up as well another fact that we are going to deal with it, which is image work. It's always connected with images. And it's a classic to think about that we said some neuropsychologists, for example, saying that it's when we think and when we feel as well, somehow, there is text already there.
Well, yeah, I wanted to say it's like, there's no process ever. Okay, maybe I'm wrong and there is something, but there doesn't language, text, speaking, understanding, and like communicating with your cast, with your director, with your choreographer, whatever. But it's, I guess, the written, publishing, reading aspect of a text is like, because, would you give this text to dancers and be like, there you go, deal with it, and give them no instruction? Or would you take from the text something, then verbally tell them? Because these are different outcomes completely.
That we are going to arrive there. It's only, let me say, that once we produce the text that started theoretically on our mind, then it becomes a completely physical thing, which it involves, the aparato fonador, the length, the breathing, the resonators, and then the vowels and the consonants are sound as well. That when I'm putting together, we create a word, and when we put words together, we are creating a sentence. And I think on stage, what is really important is more than what the text says, what the text produces, what the text does. In text-based theater, well, and you know, text. I think the main use, or at least a very high percentage of use, is to give information to the audience, that this information is what they need to understand a story, or to know what's going on, or to know what a character wants to do, or why they did what they did, and blah blah blah, more than provoking a concrete action, a physical action on the stage. When Sandra, yeah.
It depends on the text as well, though, because if you look at something like Waiting for Godot by Beckett, like, it's just mood. It's speaking shit. Like, I mean, they're not shit, but the conversations go nowhere. They don't prove anything. People sitting in the audience trying to follow a narrative are like, huh? It's, you know, kind of conceptually empty in that way, but it's constant talk. So it depends on the text.
You are totally right. Then but for example, Waiting for Godot, I saw many different performances, and I saw a performance where the text, so the conception of the director was like, they are going to say a text, and I saw versions when the director decides that they are going to do things with the text. And then it's a completely different performance, especially from the point of view of the audience. So one stupid, very simple example of what I'm saying is, if somebody is sleeping, and you want him or her wake up, you can shout, "Wake up!" And then this person will wake up, or you can shout, "Potato!" and this person will wake up exactly the same. So you are reaching your target when you are using the word that officially is said for making a person waking up, or using a random completely word. So then this is a way that we put on the table when we start thinking about the physicality of the text, that you said that, well, already was written for this or written for that. But you know, in a classical piece, I love you, as you know, when one character say I love you, this I love you can be interpreted like, I give the audience some information that I am in love with this person, or I can try to making this person produce her a very big depression, for example, or I can even insult her, saying I love you. So then this is the different, the different levels of the text that we need to consider once we are facing to use it or not. Let me tell you something that is not easy to accept, especially for the people who is working with text-based theater, which is when we are thinking about using a text, the first thing we must obligate us very strictly to know is if we need it or not. Because many times we don't need it. then is when the scene becomes abusive, repetitive, boring, nonsense, meaningless, whatever. So do we really do I really need to use this here? And for example, some terrible things that text-based theater, text-based writers, many of them don't like is that you cut their text. No? For example, you can even go to Kurt. If you cut a text of one writer which is alive, if it's dead, then I mean it's not the same cutting Shakespeare than cutting Beckett.
But why Beckett is stayed like if you touch it.
Yeah, but this is something stupid in the end, no? Because I mean, it's supposed that Beckett wrote his plays in a way that you cannot touch anything, but this is not true. I mean, I cut a lot of texts in my life, theater text, and many of them, excuse me, become better once cut. So sorry, because every time I say this, there's somebody gets angry. But we are theatrical persons. We are not literature people. So we can read Ibsen and we can read Shakespeare and we can read Molière and we can enjoy reading them and consider them as drama, literature masterpieces. But if we have the responsibility to bring them on into the stage, then the rules change. The rules are different. Then we are forced to take out things that we do not really need, and to try to explain others in a visual way, or in a body way, or in a physical way in the end, if we can do that. No? Okay, so then another thing that, for example, we can Kafka is a very good material to talk about this, is that one question it's urgent to answer is about narrativity or abstraction. For example, when Alex, when you said Beckett, Beckett is closer to abstraction than to narrativity, right? I mean, or we say Ibsen is more narrativity than abstraction. But then Beckett is in between. So Beckett is good. I like to work with Beckett texts because they have somehow of a plot. Because when we talk about narrativity, the word story is there, and then we need to see, are you telling a story or not? Then this is narrativity. But as well, there is a lot of abstraction. And when I say abstraction, I mean how it's playing with images, playing as well with sounds, playing as well with the rhythm of the text, playing with ambiguity, for example, sentences that suggest more than what they are saying. Then you know that in traditional text-based theatre, Alex, we call it subtext. No?
That's what I was going to say under the text.
But then this is gold for choreographers or for dancers, for example, that are dealing to work with a text, even if it's a narrativity or abstraction. What happened with narrativity when a choreographer and a dancing team wants to work with a text that is a narration, that it tells a story, then let's say that they want to, or they feel obligated to tell the story, no? in classic ballet.
Yeah,
For
like
example,
Romeo and Juliet or something.
Yeah, so for example, Don Quixote or this I like it very much because it's a very romantic story. It doesn't come to my mind the title, but then they tell the story without words.
I saw this performance as a friend of mine the other day, went for about an hour. There was a lot of very crazy things about it, but it was like what Swan Lake would be like with actual swans who are aggressive and nasty and loud and disgusting. But so there was kind of a story, kind of characters, but like not really, and it was mostly people going at each other. But there was like these intrinsic tiny elements, obviously, which is from a ballet, which is from a myth, which is from like a blah, blah, blah story. But this was really great to watch because it wasn't obvious to me immediately that that's what they were doing, you know?
Yeah. Do you know Crystal Pie?
What's the last name?
Crystal Pie.
Pike.
I will send you a couple of videos because she's the one that is, I mean, nowadays, from my point of view, working with dance and narrativity and text in a way that is very, very interesting. Because, I mean, if I ask you, Giselle, one classic ballet or Don Quixote, do you think that the dancers, tell the story with their movement?
In the classical production?
Mm-hmm.
I think the movement, like there's quite like it's choreographed, it's set, like the movement language, especially if you see a lot of ballet, is understood. So a lot of the like if you had no context of the story, you might not understand the fact that when she's dancing to death that's what's going on. But
Totally.
Anyone that a little bit, you would get it. And I think it is relatively accessible if you sit there.
Do you agree, Sandra?
Yeah. I agree.
It's more than the choreographical language. It's the story itself. It's already more or less. Yeah, more or less, everybody knows Don Quixote even without having read it.
Yeah.
But more or less. But I really would be curious. I mean, when so you put this subject on the table. So do you really want to tell a story in the sense that a novel or a text-based theater wants to tell a story? So what happened with this, and then they arrive, they kill her, they die in the end. Do you really want that, or do you want to suggest that there is a plot there, suggest that there is a character there, and we are still talking about narrativity? Then, if we forget about narrativity and we go into abstraction, then everything is possible, no?
But I mean, to some small degree, like even if it's the witnessing of the performance, as abstract as it is, as an audience member, you will make some kind of narrative, or maybe narrative is not the right word, but you'll make connection between things as you watch them in progress. It might not be linear, but you will draw some sort of, like if somebody sits through something and they're like, I didn't get any of that, then there's a really big problem. There should be some progressive thought of some kind, no matter how crazy and abstract the thing is. An emotional arc, I don't know.
In my last work, it was a production inspired in underground files of Dostoevsky.
The notes from Underground Man. Yeah, yeah.
It's a not very long book, but very. And then, yeah, yes, very crazy. So you need to decide if it depends on if it's going to be a text play or not, because there are adaptations in text play. But I didn't want to use text in the beginning, but it was like adapt the original book into the stage, in the sense that those who knows the book, of course, recognizes the book. In Hungary, Dostoevsky is in theater is very popular. So you can see each Dostoevsky's novel has a text-based play to put it on the stage. No? So then they tell the same story. Well, the same story. They play with the characters. So if I read The Idiot or I read Crime and Punishment, and then I go to see the play, I recognize it. So I can feel that they are reproducing somehow the novel, what I read in the novel, then more or less, depending on the director, blah, 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 but it's there. No?
I think sorry.
Yeah.
It relies very much, perhaps like the piece that you sent, this relies so strongly on character. And obviously anyone performing on stage, however much, has some degree of character, because they're not completely themselves on a stage, is the point. But like in something like, Notes in the Underground Man, like, because he's this bitter, twisted, and he cycles through doing the same thing again and again and again. But if you can, like take this away from being human in some way, or specifically one character or whatever, then it's like breaking down, like, because if you have one man doing one, like it's very easy for the text to be too strong to the audience, like because it's something they know well. So you have to negotiate between like expectations, especially if it's a classical thing, and
all the time. And this is what I like the word negotiating, no? Because yes, you have to negotiate all the time. And the point is here in the audience, how many people? There will be two groups of people: the people who knows the referent and the people who doesn't. And I would say the people who knows the referent is less than the people who doesn't. How many people have read the Notes from the Underground of Dostoevsky in my audience, and how many people knows that this book exists, of Dostoevsky exists? So then in our dramaturgy, we are working for all of them, right? So we are not working only for the people who knows the book. If we are still in the territory of narrativity, that's okay, because if we tell the story, the people who knows the book will recognize the story, and the people who doesn't know the book will see the story for the first time, but they will see the story. The question is when we start getting far from narrativity. And then here, I like to explain it in this way. So imagine that you read the book, the Dostoevsky book, before going to sleep.
To sleep?
Yeah, before going to sleep, you read the book. It's not that
I wouldn't read that before I go to bed, but sure. It's too psychotic.
Especially Crime and Punishment.
Yeah.
I was sleepwalking to some terrible no.
Well, I mean, just imagine, or whatever. I mean, one Christian Andersen short story before going to sleep. Then
And that's
then you wake up in the morning and you meet somebody during the breakfast, and this person asks you, "Oh, have you slept fine? Oh, I had some dreams. Oh, you've been dreaming. What about your dream?" And then you try to explain your dreams, what you dreamt, that it was produced by Dostoevsky or by Andersen, whatever. But when you explain to your colleague what you were dreaming, is this the book or not? It is not the book, but somehow it's the book because it wasn't. So this is the point I would like to reach. So my impressions once reading a text, I will share them with the performers, and we will create a dramaturgy with those impressions as a starting point of view, and then we will share these impressions to the audience, meaning that then those two groups that we said in a narrative adaptation that they will find in the audience might be three, meaning that there's people who knows the book but cannot recognize it or gets very angry because from the point of view, we destroy or we did with the book what we wanted. This is one group. Then the other people is the people who recognize who knows the book and recognize things in the show and make some linking, like the person you are talking in the breakfast when you are telling him or her your dreams, and the people who don't know the book but get somehow a very strong impressions that might have reading the book. This is my interest about text. Then is when I can decide if I need text or not, or I need this part of the sentence, or I need this word, and then how I will use it with the performer in order to produce this action or this effect I wanted to produce from my dramaturg. Is it clear what I'm proposing? So I will ask you an exercise to do with this Kafka text. And first of all, get far from all the narrativity possibilities. We are not going to work with narrativity because this is a dramaturgy that, for example, Alex knows well this dramaturgy, and it's not the purpose of the workshop. So then the exercise is about doing two things. One is decide or localize or find a mood that the text produces from your point of view. So meaning that after reading this text produces this mood. You decide.
Do you want to do this now?
This is homework because, okay, my dear, in 5 minutes I will have to go.
That's okay.
This is homework. And then the other thing I will ask you is to choose one image from the text that somehow...
Sorry, to choose...
one image,
image, okay.
one image from the text that somehow represents the whole text, in your opinion. Is it?
I was thinking about it when I was reading. I was thinking first about the mood. I found it. Yeah.
Just put it on the paper.
Okay.
Put it black and white, and then we will. It's one of the basic and important things from reading a text is the images the reading is producing all the time. This is gold.
Yeah, this is what I'm doing also for my work. I always doing with imagination, with visualization, with images, and this is something which is helpful for doing the plot, doing the kind of narratives.
One question before you go: are we allowed to use subtext, so things that are implied but not expressly within the text, but very obviously implied?
What do you mean? That you would like to work with that?
No, I'm just asking, like, I mean, for instance, there's a moment where they say she's about to alight, right? So this is but like, we don't know that she does that. It ends before this, but that is something that will happen. It's implied, but we don't read it, you know?
Well, yes, but you know that subtext is the most relative thing in the world.
Yeah.
And and I mean, many directors, text-based directors are working with this to give different versions of Hamlet or different versions of so the word of subtext is something really tricky and complicated. But I mean, once I mean, you agree that with the performers, no? You agree that there is a big quarrel between a couple, and they are having dinner at home, and in a certain moment she tells him, "Can you give me the salt, please?" And then the subtext would be, "I really would like to kill you slowly."
Yeah, like in a
but this is somehow is a decision we make done with the circumstances and studying the text and blah blah blah. We arrive to this conclusion, and it needs a decision, you know.
Yeah, but I mean, like, for this, like, there's a implied, like, for whatever reason, maybe sexual, maybe not, but like that he's attracted to her. It's subtext, but it's not ever said. That's what I mean. Are we allowed to play with this or not? Or you just want text?
Yes. Of course. This is impossible to avoid.
Okay.
Yeah. Of course. And in Kafka you will find infinite subtext.
Yes.
So this is amazing. Okay. Dora will come back next session, because now she joined in the second day to another group, because today she was auditioning, and think that we are going to finish a little bit later next session.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay. Thank you very much, and have a great week.
Have a good train.
Take care. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.